Hello, and good morning. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. You are in my kitchen. Yes, I've been missing for a long time because I was just traveling and whatnot. But anyway, I'm back, and today I am just in the middle of catching up my dinner prep and also making chai for my morning. So I thought, let me bring you guys in here. On the menu today is a vegetarian dinner. We are going to make white chana, which is called chickpeas, chole, whatever you want to call it. And we're also going to make some cabbage with peas, right? So I've just started the process for the cabbage with peas. I've already cut it. In goes some ginger garlic paste into the hot oil. So let me bring you right over here so you can get a better look. Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna saute some ginger garlic right over here. And then I have my chai on the other side, which I'm also gonna show you. A lot of people have asked, so I'll definitely show you that as well. I'm going to start out with the ginger garlic paste. Just roast it, fry it out. Oh Lord, for a few seconds. And you're gonna smell that it's not raw anymore. And that's when you go in and add the cabbage. Fill it up. So cabbage tends to settle down when it's cooked. So it gets reduced. Not as much as spinach, but it definitely gets reduced. Okay. We're going to add some basic spices to this. Salt, of course. I just eyeball everything, and you can too. And if you don't feel confident, measure it out, see how much salt you need. I'm going to add some paprika or Kashmiri red chili powder. This gives it a nice color. And of course I have my cilantro, which I like to add at every stage. I don't add the peas till the very end. I'm going to add some asafoetida. Is me. Add a little coriander seed powder. And I'm going to add some turmeric to give that nice appetizing yellow color. That's about it. It doesn't call for much. Turn the flame to medium. I'm going to give it a good toss. I'll toss it around till all of the spices are actually incorporated very nicely into the cabbage. Then I'm going to cover it briefly for it to cook. Then I'll add the tomatoes. I'll add some ginger juliennes, and I'll also add some tomato puree. Depending on how much moisture comes out of this, I am going to add a little water. Otherwise, if the tomatoes are summer tomatoes, they will release their own moisture, so that makes it really easy. You don't need to add any water to this. Okay, so just blend it nicely so you know that it's nicely incorporated. Hello, Marsha. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. I hope you're doing well. I am making cabbage with peas. Started out with sauteing some ginger garlic into the hot oil. Added cabbage, then I added salt, paprika, turmeric, and coriander seed powder. And then I just give it a good mix, okay? That's it. And I'm just gonna let it cook. The flame is medium to high, and I'm going to get the cover ready. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more salt and to this and let it sit. Today I'm also making a chana masala, which is something that I'm gonna do from canned chickpeas. They are not fresh chickpeas. I'm using canned chickpeas, but you can use either one, doesn't matter. So my plan is pretty much to make it in the Instant Pot because it's just gonna go faster. It's just gonna go better. That's kind of like the plan. Or maybe I'll just make the tempering on the stovetop and then do the final finishing in the Instant Pot. I'm also going to be making roti, so I will do several lives during the day. And you're welcome to stay tuned with me. My morning chai is ready. I think I'm going to start making the chana right over here. Here's my chai. In my daily chai, I only put ginger and cardamom. I don't put too many things. Black tea leaves, sugar, and whole milk. That's all I put. I don't make it too complicated. I keep it super simple. Okay, I'm going to add some oil to this. Now I'm getting ready to make the chana masala. I'm going to add some oil to this. My onions are already chopped, so those need to be brought over. Let me know where you're tuning in from so I can greet you appropriately. I don't know if it's morning, afternoon, or evening where you're watching from. What are your dinner plans? And do you cook dinner in the morning? Do you cook it at night? How does that go? I'd love to know. Okay, so I'm just gonna put these onions together. I'm gonna strain my tea. And you can drink chai with me this morning. How about that? Okay, so the oil is nice and hot. In goes the onion. So many people ask me, what is the difference between a chana masala and a rajma masala? So the basic difference is that chana masala has more onion and less tomato. Rajma has more tomato and less onion. That's the basic difference between the two. I'm going to caramelize these. That's sometimes the thing that takes the longest time in any of the Indian recipes. I'm going to bring over my cup so we can strain the chai. We can get some chit chat. Okay, so this is what we use to strain our chai. If you're Indian, you already have this in your house. I have, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I recently went to India, so I bought quite a few because they just tend to disappear in the house. Okay, so here's the chai. Especially in the summertime, I don't put too many things. But if it's a rainy day or if it's a cold day, then I add cloves and cinnamon, etc. to my chai. Like yesterday I taught a class at a Chinese senior center. I shouldn't say Chinese, it's more of an Asian senior center, and we've been doing food demonstrations with them for a while. So yesterday we actually made aloo ka parathas and we made masala chai for about 20-30 people. And the funny thing is, when I'm doing the actual teaching, then very few people are standing there. And the minute the samples start being distributed, everyone just descends upon the crowd. I thought that was really funny. It was something me and my assistant observed, and we were like, well, that's insanely funny that no one comes to learn, but when it comes time for samples, everyone is here, okay? All right, so just keeping an eye on this. It's going to take a while My flame is medium high. I am going to saute this slowly. I'm trying to get a brown color. I'm trying to get a nice deep color. If you want your chole to be really, really dark, then you should use red onions. I feel like sometimes it gets too dark, especially because I add chana masala to it, and then there's mango powder in it, which anyways makes the color of the dish quite dark. So I'm just going to keep it at this. I am making them out of a can. You don't have to. You can use fresh chickpeas. Okay, coming back to the cabbage. Let's see how it's doing over here. It smells really good. You can see we covered it, so there is a little bit of moisture that has been released because I already added the salt. Hey Namita, welcome to the King's Curry Kitchen. How are you doing today? I am in the process of making a vegetarian dinner. Just gonna give it a gentle stir, mix it around. I'm not ready to add the tomatoes yet. I think it needs to cook down just a little bit more. I'm going to cover it back up. If you're going to cook with fresh chickpeas, then you're going to soak them overnight. I'm using canned today. But if you're going to use fresh chickpeas, soak them overnight and add a pinch of baking soda to them when you are soaking them, okay? Don't add the baking soda when you're cooking them. Add them when you're soaking it. And then in the morning, drain the water. Add fresh water to it. And then boil them, okay, with salt. If you forget to add the baking soda at the time of cooking, at the time of soaking the chickpeas, then when you're boiling the chickpeas, add baking soda and add a tea bag. That should do it. What happens is it opens up the chickpeas. The tea is the acid, baking soda is alkaline. So when they both react, what happens is that the inside of the chickpea opens up, and then whatever sauce is going to go penetrates it very nicely. It also softens up the chane. If you're trying to do this particular chickpea curry that looks like, well, it's called kichad chole, which means literally mud, right? So you know how wet mud looks swampy and you make the mud pies. So that, if you're trying to make that, then definitely add the tea bag and the baking soda together, because you need that gloppy texture and you really want the chickpeas to be completely mashed up. So do that. If you're making any other kind of chickpeas, you don't have to go overboard with the tea bag, because it's also going to darken your curry, okay? So I'm just going to give this a good toss. Take a look. If you're not following this page, give me a follow, because I do live videos from time to time, and then that way you'll get notified every time I'm going live. This is just a handful of freshly chopped tomatoes. I'm also going to add a little tomato puree for color and for that little tang, which is sometimes lacking in tomatoes unless we're in the peak of summer. You don't really get that tangy taste from the tomatoes unless it's summer. So just incorporate it in nicely. Mix it together. And we are going to turn up the heat. Okay. What that's going to do is it's going to immediately get to work instead of making a pool of moisture at the bottom. And I think tomato puree really helps, especially if you're trying to avoid making very wet stir fries. Just add the tomato puree instead of the fresh tomatoes, and that takes care of it. Okay, so immediately you can tell the sizzle has changed. I'm also going to go ahead and add 1 bay leaf and a little garam masala just for flavor. Here's my bay leaf. Gives a nice flavor. A little black pepper, because wherever you use turmeric, you have to use black pepper. That's the thing. Okay, so add black pepper to help with the absorption of the turmeric. Here is my pinch of garam masala. You can always add the garam masala in the end as well. There's no hard and fast rule. But just don't add too much. It's sizzling away. It's really nice. I don't like to overcook my cabbage because I like to have a little bit of a crunch to it. At the same time, it shouldn't be raw. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some ginger juliennes. This really adds a great dimension to the dish because when you bite into it, you get all these wisps of ginger in your mouth, which is really good. Okay. And try to avoid putting too much spices or too much masalas because then it takes away the golden color of it and then makes everything dark brown if you put too much coriander seed powder or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna let this do its thing. It's medium to high. Coming back to the onions. I just hurt my hand. See, this is the part of the recipe that takes the longest time. So you just have to be patient. You have no choice but to be patient. You can see they're starting to brown just a little bit. To this I'm going to add some whole spices. If only I can find it when I need it, that would be really nice. Gosh, I'm just trying. I'm going to add bay leaf, cinnamon, a couple of cardamom pods, some cloves, and I'm going to add one large black cardamom pod. So cardamoms are of two kinds. There's a green kind and then there's a black one. So this is what the black one looks like. It has a very deep, sharp flavor. And it has a very woody husk outside. So just pat it open a little bit and then stick it in your onions. What happens when you put whole spices into oil is that it actually infuses the oil with all of these spices, right? So powdered spices are never added to oil. Powdered spices are always added to either a simmering liquid or a broth or water. Whereas whole spices are always added to the oil. We are going to continue to brown this. Hey Black, how are you? Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. We are two dishes today. One is going to be the cabbage with the peas. And then I'm going to also make some chickpea curry. A little more cilantro, if you will. And I have to have the peas ready to toss them in. I don't like to add the peas in the beginning because I feel like they get discolored. So I usually add them in the end. These are my frozen peas. I'm just going to run them through hot water and be back. Add them right in there. And then you can cover it with the hot cabbage. There you go. At this point you can add, you can adjust your seasoning. You can see if it's the right combination of salty, spicy, whatever flavors you're going for. Turn the heat to medium and allow the peas to thaw inside the stir fry. Coming back to the onions, let's see how far they are going. These are doing really well actually. I just need them to be more brown because that's what creates the depth of flavor in the chickpeas. If you go to my website, there is a free chana masala recipe download. It's a chickpea curry that you can make without onions, without buying 50,000 ingredients from the Indian store. Everything on that recipe is literally from the supermarket. So definitely give it a try. My website is queenscurrykitchen.com. When you scroll there, you're going to see the free chana masala recipe download. Okay? I'm going to continue to saute this. Tell me, where are you guys tuning in from? So it'll be fun to see where all the flavor lovers on this feed are living. And what do you like to put in your chai? I put cardamom and ginger. Tastes real good. But what do you like to put in your chai? Yesterday we did a food demonstration for a senior center where majority of the population is Southeast Asian and or Chinese, Malaysian, Taiwanese. And we made aloo ke parathe, which is the Indian stuffed flatbread, and we did masala chai for them. They absolutely loved it. It was something new for them. It was a dish that they have not eaten because Indian restaurants also do not serve that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so I'm still caramelizing the onions. Meanwhile, I think the cabbage is pretty much done. Hello, Prashanti. Welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. How are you today? We are making cabbage with peas. Let's see if the peas have broken down or not. Yep, they are thawing right in the middle of this thing. They are releasing moisture, so that moisture is going to further help to cook the cabbage, which is why I have not added any water to this dish at all. Now you can crank up the heat to high, and we're going to give it a quick stir fry so that all of the extra moisture from the peas is going to evaporate, and it is going to cook, and the cabbage will get a nice sear all around it. I'm going to just drizzle some extra oil because I feel like it's struggling a little bit. You can choose to make it with less or more oil, whatever flatters your fancy. Just make it your own. I feel like if I put you here, you'll be able to see everything. Both the dishes and me. Isn't that a better view? Yes. I'm going to continue to saute this on high heat. It's almost done. I'll give it a few minutes since I just added the oil. At this point, you can adjust your seasoning. You can see if it's salty enough. Does it need anything? Is it flavorful enough? These onions are still going. I need them to be quite brown before I can do anything. Okay. And you can hear the sizzle of the cabbage. You know that it's getting a nice color from the bottom of the pan. So just give it a gentle toss every now and then, and you should be good. I'm one person who can eat cabbage in any form. Raw, cooked, boiled, blanched, fried, anyhow, anywhere, any day. Give me cabbage in any form and I'm a happy camper. I'm just going to taste this for seasoning. Not because I made it. Actually, very good. Perfectly seasoned. Does not need anything at all. If you stick around, I'm also going to show you the whole process of how I make the chana masala. And if you follow this page, I'll also put pictures of everything that we're creating today. If you want to take a class with me, you can always do that. You can head over to my website. I have classes for all levels of cooks, whether you're a newbie, whether you're an advanced level cook, or whether you're an intermediate skill level. You don't have to have cooked Indian food before. You could be someone who cooks Indian food every day. But I specialize in Indian food, North Indian food, street foods of North India. That's pretty much my forte. You can see a lot of menus and class options when you go on the website, and if you find something that's interesting, all classes are online currently. I'm not doing any in-person classes, so you can literally take a class from anywhere in the world. And all you need to do is have a device that you can hook up to on Zoom. And that's it. And then we send you the ingredient list, we send you the recipe card, we send you everything. And you take the class on this end of the screen. I'm cooking on this side of the screen, you're cooking on that side of the screen. It's just very exciting. Okay, so this is pretty much done. I'm just gonna add a few more ginger juliennes just because I love them so much. And I'm going to put it all time low. I'm going to turn down the heat and I'm going to put the cover on this. What happens when you're done cooking and you put a cover on something and turn the heat to all time low, it draws out all of the excess oil that's in the dish. So whether it's a vegetarian dish or whether it's a chicken or a mutton or a fish dish, when you turn it down to simmering and put a lid, the steam actually rises up and draws out all of the oil from the dish. So it's really a great way to make sure that all of the fats have been rendered out. You can remove it, you can let it be, but it is the final proof that your dish is finally cooked. Okay, so now my onions are quite brown at this point. I don't want to make them any more brown because I feel like they lose body if you make it too crumbly. Like if you were to cook it in a, if this was a recipe that you were cooking in a roadside dhaba, if you were making Amritsari chole, you would really cook them down until they actually become granular. I'm not about to do that today. To this I'm going to add ginger garlic paste, but because this is chickpeas, I'm also going to add extra ginger on top. Right, so there is garlic in this recipe, but the taste of ginger and onions dominates more than garlic and tomatoes. That's something to remember. So just incorporate this, make sure it's not raw. And I'm going to take some fresh ginger right over here and I'm going to pound this so that there is extra ginger in this dish. And then I'm just going to take this and dunk it right into here. So it's going to be extra gingery. And of course we're going to add our ginger juliennes as well. Okay, so just give it a quick saute. We are making Punjabi chole. There are very many recipes of chickpeas, right from Afghanistan to Pakistan to India to Bangladesh. I think every South Asian and Central Asian country eats it. So there are many variations, there are many recipes. Okay, now it's the time to put in the tomatoes. Don't put too many tomatoes because you don't want this to be... This is about 1.5 large tomatoes. I had about 3.5 onions, okay? At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato puree for that beautiful color that we need. Going to go ahead and give it a gentle stir. Now, whenever you add tomatoes to a dish, especially if you're creating the tempering, you should add the salt for the entire dish at that time, okay? I'm going to do that right now, and I'll tell you the reason too. So the salt actually helps to draw out all of the moisture from the tomatoes. Put the salt for the entire dish onto the tomatoes. It's going to help to draw out the moisture and it's going to help to break down the tomatoes faster. So that all the juice will... I'm also going to show you some herbs that I'm going to be adding to this. So now that it's not directly oil, I can start adding my powdered spices to this. One of the very important spices that I add to my chana masala is fenugreek herb. This is called kasuri methi. I add it during the cooking process, and then I'm also going to add it after I take it off the stove, right? So I add it at several stages. Give it a stir. Keep your flame to medium so you'll buy the time to come back and forth with the spices. See how quickly it breaks down the tomatoes? You can actually use the back of your spatula and also break it down. It just helps to loosen it. And then we have our coriander seed powder. I just eyeball everything. My mother actually roasts her coriander seed powder for putting it in the chana masala, and it really has a great flavor. I know I have roasted some and ground some, but I just cannot remember where I've kept it. I have so many spices in my house that sometimes I make something in bulk and I forget where it's at. Okay, so that's that. Then I'm going to add the paprika. I'm adding paprika, but you can add cayenne pepper or red chili powder, whatever it is that you like. It gives a nice color. So between the tomato puree and the paprika, it's a nice red color you get. I'm also going to add what's called a chana masala. So chana masala is a spice blend that's formulated specifically for chickpea curry. You can literally add it at any stage. Some people like to add it with the oil. I feel like it burns. However, if I'm cooking with ghee, then I add my chana masala and my kasuri methi, the dry fenugreek herb. I add that to the ghee. Oh, smells really good. So this is already a combination of roasted cumin, ginger, dry mango powder, and pomegranate seed powder, black pepper. It has all of those things already in it. So when you add that, it brings its own depth of flavor. I am going to go ahead and add just a little splash of water because I don't want my spices to burn. Okay, so far so good. Just going to wait for this to cook. I will go ahead and add my favorite ginger juliennes to this, and I'm going to add cilantro to this. I'm cooking about 48 ounces of chickpeas. That should feed maybe six to seven people. I don't add potatoes to my chickpea curry. Many people like to do that. I'm just going to quickly move over here and take a look at the cabbage and see how it's doing. Alrighty, it's looking really, really good. I'm going to turn off the flame. This is done. I will put pictures of everything, but you know what? Let me just plate it really quickly so you guys can see it. Okay, and then it goes on with a garnish of cilantro, some ginger juliennes. Look at that. So this is ready, which means that when I come home at 11 o'clock in the night and I have to give dinner to my husband, I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to warm this up, make some rotis for him, and he will be a happy camper. If he wants to have puris, then I'll probably just be serving chana with the puris, and I'll save the cabbage for tomorrow maybe. We'll see how it goes. It's hard to say what the family wants to do at the end of the day. Sometimes they'll totally surprise us. We're going to continue to sear this mixture. This is called the tadka. We're going to continue to sear this. And it's going to start releasing its oils. When it does that, then you know it's time to move on to the next step. I've already rinsed my canned chickpeas. If you're working with fresh chickpeas, like I said, soak them the night before with a pinch of baking soda and then boil them in the pressure cooker the next morning till they become soft. gonna heat up some water in my electric kettle so that I can add it for my gravy later on. What do you like to eat your chana with? Do you like it with puris? Do you like it with rice? Do you like it with bhature? So if you're from Trinidad or if you're from Guyana, you probably there's already someone in your family that makes doubles or bara, and you eat those with your chane. So in India we have something called chole bhature, which is pretty much like this yeasty dough that is deep fried and then served with the chana. Right? In different parts of India, sometimes they serve pav with the chana, sometimes they make a murg chana in Pakistan. So chickpeas are supposed to be like very nutritious, and pretty much all cultures, a lot of cultures actually use them as a breakfast dish. Middle East uses it as hummus. So different cultures use it in different forms, correct? Alright, so now is the time to add the chickpeas to this tempering. I'm going to add both boxes. And this is number 2. This should easily feed about 6 to 10 people. No worries at all. That's why I also like Indian food, because I think it's so cost effective to cook something in a curry. I mean, simple tomatoes and potatoes tomatoes and onions give you a nice base to make something flavorful, and then you can add your choice of beans or lentils, and literally you can feed an entire large family. You can feed entire neighborhoods from simple dishes like this. They're not very expensive, and God, have you seen prices lately? Everything is just crazy right now. Inflation is crazy. Grocery prices are hitting the roof. I think they've already broken through the roof and hitting the sky now. Hey Margaret, how are you today? Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. So I put in the chickpeas. I'm just waiting for the water to boil so I can bring it on here and then add it to this curry. And then I will allow it to simmer. I do have to add some salt and adjust my seasonings. And that's pretty much it. We also just made the cabbage with peas right here on the live. So if you missed that, definitely catch the replay. Make these kind of simple vegetarian dinners for your family. And you'll start realizing that going meatless is not that hard. You just need to have some simple recipes that you've mastered. And you can literally just switch out the chickpeas for another bean. Maybe you want to do it with cannellini beans. Maybe you want to do it with black-eyed peas. So definitely keep your options open. Consider taking an online class with me. I also have a lot of ebooks on my website. You can download those books and you can make restaurant-style curries at home. You can make Indian breads at home. You can do rice at home. There's a recipe for pretty much everything that I teach. I also have a YouTube channel where you can go and follow any of the long-form videos that I make on Facebook. It's not the power of editing, so you won't get that 1 minute, 2 minute long video, but you will get 20 minutes of actual cooking time. So you know that this is how much time it's going to take me in real time if this is what I want to make. Okay, so the boiling water is here. I'm going to add this. This is going to be the gravy. I don't like to add cold water because it brings down the cooking temperature of the pot. And then it changes the texture of the food. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a gentle stir. If you didn't add baking soda to your chickpeas when you were boiling them, you can add a pinch now. It does give a nice taste, and it also helps the chickpeas to absorb all of this better. Okay, and if you want to make it thicker, you can actually scoop out a ladle full of chickpeas, run them in the blender, and then add them back to make a thicker sauce. But we do have to allow it to boil and cook. I am going to add a little more water, and then it'll be done. Okay, so I am going to adjust it for seasoning. One other thing that I always like to add in my Punjabi dishes is this Indian curry powder. It's called Kitchen King, and you get it very easily in Indian grocery stores. So just add a little bit of that. It gives it a nice North Indian flavor. I don't even know how to explain that. It's just a very Punjabi flavor. And then when it's simmering, go ahead and add a little more of the fenugreek herb that we added before. So we've added it once when into the oil, and then now we're adding it again when it's in the simmering liquid. That's pretty much it, my lovelies. This is how you make chana masala. It's not that hard. If you don't have time to cook and you don't have time to soak the beans and boil the beans, just get a can, rinse it nicely, and it'll be ready. So you will know this is ready when all of this has simmered and the oil will skim to the top. You're going to know that your chickpea curry is ready. Okay, so you see the advantage of adding the hot water. I've almost wasted no time in bringing this up to a boil. The total temperature in the pot also does not fall. So it's very easy to resume the cooking process from wherever it was. I'm trying to find my garam masala, which again I can't find. Anyway, I'll get to it, and before serving I will add a little. You see the oil is already coming to the top. So I am going to actually cover this. Let me add some cilantro before I do that. I'm going to add some cilantro, and I'm going to add some ginger juliennes right here. Boom. And I'm going to let it simmer for a few minutes. In about 8 to 10 minutes, this should be ready, and it'll be ready to serve. If I put it in the fridge, it'll definitely get thicker as it sits. If you want to serve it immediately, then like I said, take a couple of tablespoons of the chickpeas and blitz them in your blender and add it back to the gravy. Or you can take a potato masher and mash just some of the chickpeas, so it'll create that nice thick base for your sauce. This can be enjoyed with rotis, parathas, rice, doubles, bature, bara, whatever you want to call it. Also, it tastes really good with like if you have tortillas and you deep fry them or air fry them, it tastes really good with that as well. Okay, so this was our 2 recipes for today's dinner. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're going to give it a try. If it brought you some kind of inspiration, I'm glad that I was able to do that for you. Thank you for deciding to spend your morning with me. I will see you in another video really soon. Don't forget to like and follow this page and turn on your notifications, so whenever I'm going live next, you'll be the first to know. Until next time, be blissful, be flavorful, and never stop cooking a good homemade meal. Bye now.